The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. The film begins with a flashback set to the first film, with Gandalf battling the Balrog on the bridge of Khazad-dûm, but this time continues from Gandalf's perspective, with the scene continuing to follow both as they hurtle down below, fighting while in free fall. Frodo awakens from his dream and continues his journey with his trusted and loyal friend, Sam. They are then attacked by the ring-possessed Gollum wishing to retrieve his precious from the ones he thinks stole it from him. The hobbits subdue and bind him with Sam's elven rope given to him by the elven elder Galadriel and Lorien. Sam distrusts Gollum and wishes to abandon him, but Frodo understands the burden of the creature and takes pity on him. Realizing they are lost in the Immen Mule and need of a guide, Frodo persuades Gollum to lead them to the Black Gate of Mordor. In Rohan, the pack of Uruk-hai run across the grassy landscape with their captives Merry and Pippin. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli are in pursuit. Following 3 days of running, Legolas surmises the hobbits are being taken to Isengard, where Saruman is marshalling his Uruk-hai forces to do the bidding of Sauron. In the kingdom of Rohan, home of the Horse Lords, King Theoden is mentally and physically weak due to the enchantments of his steward, Grima Wormtongue, who is secretly in the service of Saruman. Orcs and wild men of Dunland incited by Saruman freely roam the land and kill the people, including the king's only son Theoden. Theoden's nephew Éomer interrogates Grima, angrily realizing he has lustful eyes for Éomer's sister Éowyn, and that he is now an agent of Saruman. Grima banishes Éomer for undermining his authority, and Éomer sets forth to gather the remaining loyal men of the Rohirrim throughout the land. Frodo and Sam traverse the Dead Marshes, passing the undead fallen warriors of the Second Age who haunt the marshes and evading a newly seated ring wraith on his flying fell beast. Later they reach the Black Gate, finding it to be heavily guarded. They observe a contingent of Easterlings from Rhûn arrive to reinforce the garrison, only to have Gollum reveal to them a less risky path. Sam remains distrustful, but Frodo gives him the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, Éomer and his Rohirrim ambush and kill all of the orcs and Uruk-hai, holding the two hobbits captive at nightfall. During the battle, Merry and Pippin narrowly escape their captors by fleeing into the trees, where they are aided by Treebeard, the oldest of the Ents. Éomer later encounters Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and in turn, tells Aragorn there were no survivors of the Orc/Uruk-hai slaughter. Upon arriving at the battle site, Aragorn uses his tracking skills and finds hobbit tracks that lead into the nearby Fangorn forest. The three discover a wizard who is ultimately Gandalf reborn, now known as Gandalf the White. The quartet proceeds to travel to Edoras, where they exorcise Saruman's hold on King Theoden and banish Wormtongue. Theoden is confronted with his dead son and, rather than risk open war, decides to flee to a large fortress called Helm's Deep, which in times of trouble has saved the people of Rohan. Gandalf leaves to find Éomer and his Rohirrim, promising to return within 5 days, as a strong attraction draws Éowyn to Aragorn during the journey to Helm's Deep. Wormtongue flees to Orthanc and tells Saruman of Rohan breaking from their grip. Saruman then decides to destroy Rohan. In Ithilien, Gollum battles his split personality in an attempt to befriend Frodo and Sam and ultimately banishes his evil half. The two hobbits are witness to an ambush of Southrons but are taken captive by soldiers of Gondor. Meanwhile, along the journey to Helm's Deep, the travelers are attacked by Saruman's wargs and their orc riders. During the battle, Aragorn is dragged by a warg and falls off a cliff into a raging river as the grief-stricken survivors reluctantly move on to Helm's Deep. In Rivendell, Elrond knows that the Age of Elves is ending and convinces Arwen that it is hopeless to stay and should leave for the Grey Havens. Elrond shows her a prophetic vision if she waits for Aragorn. Even if he succeeds in destroying Sauron and becomes king of Gondor, he will still succumb to mortality. Arwen will suffer grievously once he is dead, and she is left to wither away. She reluctantly agrees to leave. Elsewhere, Frodo and Sam are taken to Heneth Anun and brought before Faramir, the younger brother of Boromir. Gollum eluded capture and, to save his life, is lured into a trap unknowingly by Frodo. Faramir learns of the One Ring and, seeking to prove his worth to his father, decides the ring shall go to Gondor. In Rohan, Aragorn washes up on the river's edge and is nudged back to consciousness by his horse, Brego. Battered but undaunted, he rides to Helm's Deep, passing Saruman's army of Uruk-hai, which numbers at least 10,000 strong. His arrival is met with relief but is short-lived with the news of only 300 men in the stronghold. Amid despair, a battalion of elves from Lorien, led by the elf Haldir, arrives to assist in the ensuing battle. At Fangorn Forest, Merry, Pippin, Treebeard, and other Ents hold a council to decide on the roles of the Ents in the war with Saruman. In the pouring rain, the Battle of Helm's Deep begins with a flurry of arrows from both human and elven archers cutting down dozens of Uruk-hai. Scaling ladders are placed upon the deeping wall, and the Uruks swarm up to engage the defenders. The defenses are slowly being breached and the enemy manages to destroy the wall through its sewer drain, using a rudimentary explosive device created by Saruman. Despite Aragorn and Gimli's best efforts, the Uruk-hai manage to penetrate the main door and soon the stronghold is overrun. Amid the battle, Haldir is slain, and the few remaining elves fall back into the keep. In the Hornberg, however, the Uruks have also scaled the walls, and have breached the gate, forcing the defenders to retreat into the keep. In Fangorn, Treebeard and the other Ents have decided to not have any involvement in the war. Frustrated, Pippin cleverly takes him to the section of Fangorn forest Saruman has decimated near Isengard. Treebeard is filled with rage at Saruman's betrayal and commands all other Ents to seek vengeance. The Ents gather and embark upon the last march of the Ents. Meanwhile, as the keep is now under attack and realizing Gandalf's words before he departed, Aragorn and the rest make one last gallant ride on horseback to attack the Uruk-hai army, in a desperate bid to allow the Rohirrim's women and children to escape. As the riders are surrounded and all seems lost, Gandalf, Éomer, and 2,000 riders of the Rohirrim arrive to push back the Uruk-hai into the just-arrived forest of Hoorns outside of Helm's Deep. Elsewhere, the Ents also attack Isengard, tossing stones and rocks while collapsing a dam to flood its surroundings. At the ruins of Osgiliath, Faramir and the hobbits are confronted by a ring-wraith and its fell beast. With the help of Sam, Frodo narrowly escapes the ring-wraith's efforts to capture him. Sam narrates how the story must go on and how they should keep pressing forward as Faramir decides to free them to finish their quest. Gandalf and the others now know a full war is inevitable, as Sauron will surely seek retribution for the defeat of Saruman, and hope rests with Frodo and Sam, who have resumed their journey to Mordor with Gollum. Accompanying them once again and having felt betrayed after his subsequent mistreatment by Faramir's men, Gollum's darker nature returns and decides to reclaim the ring by leading Frodo and Sam to her. The end. Subscribe, wait, and look out for part 3.